On July 13th, 2005, I was in a tiny room recording bass and drums for my band's new record. And I was in the room with our drummer, Doug Meese, the other two guys in the band, Scott and Jason, were in an even smaller room in the basement. Around midnight or so, we were gathering and talking about the next time we'd be getting together, talking through some of the trials and tribulations of a struggling rock band from Chicago. But Doug was always able to find the light in the dark. He was quite fond of saying, "This is the fun part." The next night, I was playing what's called a showcase with another band that I was in. A showcase is where you invite record labels and journalists and folks like that to come and see your band, get some exposure. I was nervous. I put just about the last 15 years of my life into playing music and chasing this impossible dream. I sacrificed a lot for that. My wife sacrificed a lot for that dream. Can I tell you, we absolutely killed that show. We made a lot of great connections. We talked to a lot of record folks from RCA Records, Sony Records, so we felt pretty good about that. After that was all done, I made my way outside because I'd gotten a text from Scott, who's the singer from the night before, the band from the night before, and it said to call him. I called him back, and on answering, he said, "Doug is dead." I can tell you that I was not expecting this news either. I said, "What happened?" And he said, "Come to Doug's apartment." I walked in, and on arrival, I learned that Doug and two other friends of ours, John Glick and Michael Dahlquist, were on their lunch break in Skokie, Illinois. They were sitting at a stoplight, and they were hit from behind by a woman attempting to commit suicide. They all three were killed just about instantly. I didn't have the words in my vocabulary that can begin to illustrate my head at the time, what I was thinking. I still don't. I mean, it's 20 years ago, and I still don't know the words. A week later, I was going to have to play another showcase and perform for more record labels. I didn't quite know how I was going to do it. I remember sitting on my couch at home at my apartment with my wife, Emily, and saying, "I don't think I will ever be happy again." In John Maxwell's book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Personal Growth, he talks about the law of pain. The law of pain says that good management of bad experiences leads to great growth. Every pain introduces a person to himself. Some of the good and some of the bad will find us. That's just life, right? Well, on this day, some of the good and a great heaping pile of the bad did find me. I wish I could say that I approached this moment with a positive life stance, as John Maxwell would have intended. 31-year-old me didn't know anything about John Maxwell or his 15 invaluable laws of growth. In Shawn Fair's book, Effective Leadership, he talks about 7 critical attributes of great leaders. But it's the 5th one that I want to talk a little bit about today. The ability to understand people. Understanding people is absolutely critical to great leadership. But where does that start? Where does it begin? Well, it begins with learning to understand ourselves. Where do we come from? What experiences, what triumphs, what tragedies have we had that have shaped not only who we are, but how we are? When we begin to ask ourselves these questions, we can truly begin to understand other people. If we are unwilling to learn and understand our people and know where they're coming from, how can we expect to lead them to where they are going to? In the days and months and years following Doug's death, I knew that life was irreparably altered, but I was never going to be the same again. And I didn't know it at the time, but this one event, this challenge to my understanding of the world would play out over and over and over again in the form of questions. Who am I? What am I here for? And what is the point? When I speak to the folks who come through our leadership training program at Liberty Energy, I challenge them to ask those questions and to answer them honestly, because the people they lead, the people you lead, who count on you, deserve nothing less than a leader who understands himself, but one who is also willing to understand them as well. Only then can we begin to have the conversation about what great leadership actually is. Over the years, I've come to understand that there can be no light without the darkness. The bad helps put the good into focus. And whenever I'm experiencing a bit of the good, like right now, for example, with all of you, I remember this is the fun part. Thank you all very much for your time.